Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and we are back with some more Khalil Mack talk. It's official. The trade is done. So earlier did an episode, at that time, they were still working on the deal, or I should say the contract, not the deal. They were still working on the contract, and once the contract got done, the deal was already accepted in place. So there's that. Now we don't have the contract details at the time of this recording, but Adam Schefter is reporting that the deal is official and all good with the NFL. So we'll find out the money, but we at least know the terms. And so the terms aren't too bad. This is what's happening. We got Khalil Mack, of course, and we got a 2020 second round pick, and we got a 2020 conditional 5th round pick. So I don't know the conditions. More than likely with conditions, it has to do with wins and things of that nature. So if the Bears are like, or I should say if the Raiders are like really bad, then we might not get the 5th round pick. But if they are at a 15 below, we get the 5th round pick, stuff like that. So that's how conditions usually go. So that's what we got. What we gave up was our 1st round pick for this draft, our 1st round pick for next draft, and we gave up a 3rd round pick for the next draft, so 2020, and then we gave up a 6th round pick for this upcoming draft. Now, if you look at all of that together, what that means is for the 2019 draft, we don't have a 1st round pick, and we don't have a 2nd round pick. So we won't be picking in the first 2 rounds. As of right now, we can always get those picks back, or get a pick back, I should say. But that's how it's looking. And then in 2013, we won't pick in the 1st round. What did I just say? Sorry. In 2020, we won't pick in the 1st round, but we'll have 2 2nd round picks. So that's nice, but we won't have a 3rd round pick. So we could do some things though, but to get a 2nd round pick is absolutely crazy to me. I mean, it's not crazy. I will say this to any Raiders fans listening, or people that got friends that are Raider fans that are going crazy. I see people like, it's the dumbest trade ever, blah, blah, blah. Talent is not everything. As much as a lot of fans want to think it is, that's surface. You got to go deeper than stats, deeper than talent. It's not everything. That doesn't make everything. Some players it has, but for the most part, that's just not how the game works. And so there's other factors at play. And when there's other factors that are not attractive to a team, they can give them up. And when you want to give them up, you don't have the leverage. Everyone knows. So you don't have to look far. Just look at basketball. That's the prime example where you see players with all the power. But this didn't play out that way. But just look at someone like Kawhi Leonard, who as soon as he said, I'm signing with the Lakers when I'm a free agent, or whatever he said, that completely changed the dynamic where people weren't going to give up a lot to get him. And so very similarly with this, once you saw the Raiders saying, we're not going to pay him like that, you knew that Khalil Mack wasn't going to play. And even if he did play, he wasn't going to come back. And so there's the opportunity there. So if you just imagine sitting at the table and the Raiders are like, we want this, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And you get to say no, because you need us too. You need us because you know that he's going to walk for nothing, at the end of the year, if he doesn't get hurt. And you know that you don't really want him here. And so that gives us leverage as well. So while it is crazy to think about, when you really look at the logistics of it, it's not too insane that we got a 2nd round pick back. So the actual deal, just kind of a reaction. It's really tough for me, and I've seen some fans, it's really tough for me to say I'm okay giving up 2 1st round picks. And I've seen some fans like nothing's worth 2 1st round picks. And I say this with the draft every year. It depends on where you're picking. And that's why teams do this. When you make a move that you feel is going to put you over the hump and put you deep in the playoffs, then those those 2 first round picks don't matter as much. You know, if we were the number 1 pick and we had 2 years in a row and we gave that up, yes, that hurts. But if we're 25, we're 24, and then that doesn't hurt as much. Still hurts, but doesn't hurt as much. So, you know, one thing I would say with Mack that I was talking about earlier, as far as giving up a lot of stuff, is that he is a generational talent. Don't get it twisted. There's not many of these people. I stress this. There are not many of these players that can play at an elite level in multiple schemes. Khalil Mack is one. Not even multiple schemes. He can do it at multiple positions along the front. So, I remember scouting him coming out. I know a lot about his game. He is a generational talent. And for generational talent, you tend to go all out. And for a chance to get over the hump, you tend to go all out. So I don't personally think the Bears, like Khalil Mack, is going, like some people saying, okay, we're top 10 now, we're top 5 or top 3. Look, if we did not get Mack, the Bears were not a top 10 defense. I hate to break it to you. Even if Roquan plays extremely well, I didn't see us progressing this year as far as what we had. Now that we got Mack, the dynamics is definitely different, but I'm not top 3. That's too far. That's too far. It's going to depend on a couple people. It's going to depend on Leonard Floyd's ability to capitalize on the opposite edge. It's going to depend on how quickly Roquan gets into gear as a coverage plus, not just a linebacker stop and run, but a coverage plus where we're not having to switch a lot of people out, where he really adds a dimension to the coverage. That in calling plays, that's important, but really his coverage ability is what's going to kick it up to another notch, because that's going to allow us to do things. And then thirdly, it's going to matter how well Kyle Fuller plays. Kyle Fuller, while we know what he did last year, he has his limitations. I know we like him. I like him. I loved him coming out, but he has his limitations. Every time I'm worried about him getting beat. And so that is where hopefully a person like Khalil Mack, will not only turn up the pressure, but turn up the opportunity for Akeem Hicks and Leonard Floyd to get pressure. So while Mack is here, is huge new dynamic. Is going to depend on a couple players to talk about us being a top 5 defense. So, 100% we're improved. Not denying that. I'm just saying, kind of pump the brakes. So yeah, that's kind of what the deal is. The trade deal. I'm trying to make sure I specify between deal and contract. So the trade deal is for what I said earlier. We gave up 2 first round picks, a future 3rd and a 6th round pick. We got back a 2nd round pick and a potential 5th round pick. So not too bad, not too shabby. So that's kind of it. But also I want to mention that I didn't do a recap of the last preseason game. Honestly, I wasn't watching it at home. I was off, and so by the time I got back, it was real late. But also, like I said before, it doesn't take me too long to get a grasp on what players are. Even though I like to see multiple games, I got a good grasp, and I felt like I would have just been repeating myself with a lot of these fringe players and kind of what I thought about them. So, apologize if you were looking for that and you were upset. But don't worry, we'll be covering all the games this year. So anyway, go down to the comment section. Let me know what you think about the Khalil Mack trade now that it's official, now that we know what we gave up. Was it too much? Was it just right? Or would you give up anything to get Khalil Mack? Go down, get the convo started, share it around, thumbs up, subscribe. And remember, if you heard it here, almost. Sorry, that is a sign off from a different channel that I do. But remember, guys, stay up and bear down.